This video, sponsored by the California Department of Education, is Module 5 of the CAASPP and ELPAC Interim Assessment video series. This video will cover how to use the teacher hand scoring system for the CAASPP and ELPAC interim assessments and the related steps to complete any necessary scoring for interim assessment questions. The teacher hand scoring system, or THSS, allows educators to access and score student responses that are not machine scored and require hand scoring. Hand scoring may be required for certain assessments as part of the Smarter Balanced Interim Assessments for English Language Arts and Literacy, or ELA, and Mathematics, the California Science Test, or CAST, interim assessments, and the English Language Proficiency Assessments for California, or ELPAC, interim assessments. If an interim assessment has at least one question that requires hand scoring, the response must be scored and submitted before the results appear in the California Educator Reporting System, or CERS. Interim Comprehensive Assessments, or ICAs, for ELA and Mathematics, require that both parts of the assessments be completed and submitted to receive results in CERS. Certain secure documents are needed to accurately score student responses. Training guide and exemplar documents contain different information based on the content area and the grade level, but generally they contain question prompts, rubrics, and sample student responses. The exemplar sections of these documents contain two sets of sample responses. Anchor sets are groups of sample responses that are already scored. Check sets are groups of sample responses that have scores listed separately, so educators can practice scoring on their own. The appropriate hand scoring documents are located in the Teacher Hand Scoring System for reference and can also be found in the Test Operations Management System, or TOMS. To navigate to the materials, log on to TOMS. Select the Resources tab, then select the Interim Assessment Secure Materials option for your desired content area from the menu. Next, select the desired grade level. Based on the preceding choices, additional options will appear for you to choose from. Keep in mind that for the ELPAC interim assessments, the speaking domain requires that the student responses be scored in the moment, during testing. Because of this, educators administering the speaking domain will need to familiarize themselves with the training guide and exemplar document before testing. Also, the ELPAC interim assessments may have different scoring options for certain domains. The speaking domain for all grades and the writing domain for kindergarten through grade 2 require that scores be entered into the Data Entry Interface, or DEI. Only the writing domain for grades 3 through 12 will be scored in the teacher hand scoring system as covered in this video. All other domains are automatically scored. You can find information about entering scores into the DEI in another video in this series. To begin scoring responses, open the THSS by navigating to TOMS. Select the Links tab and select the Teacher Hand Scoring System. You can also get into the THSS from the CAASPP and ELPAC website using the System Links drop-down menu. Your access level in the Teacher Hand Scoring System will be determined by your role or roles in TOMS. If you have access to multiple districts or schools, you will be asked to select a district and/or school from a list when entering the hand scoring system. Once you have selected the school, select Continue. Once logged onto this system, you will be taken to the dashboard. This page displays important information, including the tests needing to be scored, the number of students, the number of items to score, and the number of items to submit. In this system, test questions are called items, and these terms are used interchangeably. On the dashboard, users can use the Filters menu to narrow the list of tests by assessment group, domain or subject, grade, and manner of administration. If the user selects the checkbox for Make these my default selections, the filter selections will be saved and displayed each time the user logs in. Note that the Rosters filter does not provide any functionality for California users. Users can also search for tests using the keyword search bar. The Days in System column will display how many days the particular student responses have been in the THSS. The same column includes a visual scoring reminder, a red exclamation point icon, to indicate responses that have not been scored for an extended period of time. For the initial ELPAC, the icon will appear after 3 days. For interim assessments, the icon will appear after 7 days. Select a test name from the Assessment Name column to score items. On the assessment scoring page, student responses will be available based on your role and whether you have been assigned as a scorer. Information in this table includes the assignee, student name, student SSID, the date the test was taken, and items to score. Users with district-level roles are able to view all student responses that are available for scoring throughout the district. Users with school site-level roles are able to view all student responses at the site. And test examiners, test administrators, or users with an interim assessment-only role are able to view only the student responses assigned to them. Note that the lists can be reordered using the up and down arrows at the top of each column. In the Items to Score columns, items that can be selected are items that are assigned to the user to score. Similarly, items that cannot be selected are not assigned to the current user. Scores that have been submitted will no longer be visible. For student responses that are assigned to you, an active score link will display in the Items to Score column. Select the Score link to begin scoring the student response. On the item scoring page, the Current Items section has forward and back arrow buttons to switch between items from the same student, if applicable. The Current Student area has a drop-down menu and up and down arrow buttons to switch between multiple students. The Item Score section is where you will assign a score. The scoring criteria are listed, as are the maximum points allowed for the item, and a drop-down list to select the student's score for this item. Scoring rubrics and anchor samples are available to assist in scoring. To view the rubric and exemplars, select the Rubric and Resources toggle. Under Item Details, you will find the item difficulty, for Smarter Balanced Assessments only, and content standard or standards to which the item aligns for all assessments. Links to any associated resources for the item, such as anchor samples, training guides, or exemplars, will be included under Item Resources. Select the up arrow next to Rubric and scroll to view the entire scoring rubric for the item. The Scoring Notes section displays the users previously assigned to the items, along with any notes or messages they have included. It displays all users, the date of the note, and the text of the note. The next section is the item and the student's response. On many devices, you may need to scroll down to view the response. When viewing the item, the default setting may display it in the same way the student sees it. To turn off this view, select the Student Settings toggle button and switch it to off. When you have determined your score for this response, select the score from the Points Earned drop-down menu in the Item Score section above. When you change the score, that change will automatically be saved. You can submit the score right from that page using the Submit Scores for Student button, or you can return to the assessment scoring page. Once you have finished scoring all of a student's responses, you can submit the scores for multiple students on the assessment scoring page. Select Submit for all students by selecting the box next to Submit at the top of the column. You can also select students individually. Once you have selected all of the students whose scores you wish to submit, scroll to the bottom of the page and select the Submit Scores button. All users can assign student responses to other scorers as long as the responses have not yet been submitted. Site-level users can reassign student responses to other scorers within their school. Local educational agencies or LEA-level users can assign responses to any other scorers within their LEA. Once responses are assigned to another scorer, those responses leave the initial scorer's response list and appear in the new scorer's response list. The new scorer has the same abilities as the initial scorer. Note that once the hand scoring has been completed for a student's interim assessment, the corresponding results should appear in the California Educator Reporting System, or CERS, after about 20 minutes. Thank you for viewing this video on how to hand score the interim assessments. For more information and to view other videos in this series, please visit bit.ly/IA video series. This video was brought to you by the California Department of Education.